Kakadosh Boker or Bekiim Bahalacha 5, day 74, page 199. This is Siman Lamidchet, Siman 38. We're talking about now that we have to have pure thoughts while wearing tefillin. So Halacha number Zayin comes and it says as follows. While wearing tefillin, one must avoid thinking about one's desires for women. Okay? And some poskim rule that if someone feels that he's incapable of avoiding such thoughts, it's forbidden him for him to put on tefillin. If you have to have a kosher mind, so therefore you're not allowed to have, right? You're not allowed to put on the tefillin if you can't withstand from having a pure mind. Others rule that our sages certainly do not mean that people may exempt themselves from the mitzvah just because they can't control the thoughts. The rabbis of each community are expected to inspire the people to develop a sense of fear of Yirat Shamayim so that they will cleanse their hearts from such harmful thoughts and concentrate on becoming dedicated servants of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Look at 281 in the footnote. You'll have the Maram Ben Rothenburg. He cited in the Kolbo. He said that teenagers who are not able to stop themselves thinking about women even for a minute to say Kriyat Shema must not wear tefillin, since Halacha demands a clean body. And therefore, anyone suffering from diarrhea or incessant fluidulence is exempt from mitzvah. So certainly somebody has dirty thoughts would be the exact same thing. Maran the Bet Yosef challenges this ruling since the Talmud teaches that lustful thoughts do not make it forbidden to wear tefillin. After suggesting a resolution to this challenge, Maran added, in my opinion, these young men must not be exempted from the mitzvah of tefillin based on this reason. Instead, they should be lectured and taught to develop a sense of fear for heaven. Then they will cleanse their hearts from the thoughts which are harmful to them in the body and soul, and prepare their hearts to accept upon themselves the yoke of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're on the bottom of page 199. So basically, we just said as follows. Shulchan Aruch says that when you're wearing tefillin, one must avoid thinking of the desire of women. This appears to follow the opinion of the Bet Yosef that people are obligated to develop Yirat Shamayim and overcome their tendency to think about lustful thoughts. No one is allowed to give up and say, I can out myself. So if he's going to if he tries, he will succeed in having Yirat Shamayim, and therefore such people cannot complain that they do not have to put on tefillin. Okay, but that's what it was written on the top, that you're not allowed to think about women. So don't think that, you know what, he can't control himself, so now he's patur of tefillin. It just doesn't work. So he says the Ramah, however, ruled that if someone feels that he cannot avoid lustful thoughts, it's best that he refrains from wearing tefillin. This apparently follows the ruling of Rabbi Rumin, which is the Maram Rotomu. And according to Maran, there's no such a situation that where somebody could say that he just doesn't need to put it. The Kaf HaChaim Sofer also suggested that Maran and the Ramah are not issuing opposing rulings. Everyone agrees that as long as someone has not learned to control his thoughts, he must not wear tefillin. But at the same time, however, this person is obligated to change himself so that his heart is going to be cleansed of these thoughts. If he does not, he's going to be held responsible. And the Yalkut Yosef al-Chabra also maintained the Ramah's ruling, right? Opposes the Maran, however, citing the Shulchan Aruch. So lustful thoughts are sinful even if the person is not wearing tefillin. Okay? So he says it's also going to be asur even with wearing tefillin, lustful thoughts. If someone wears tefillin and thinking about women, he transgresses two violations. Okay, so the man will say shte avarot keshu choshev al nashim beemtza, right? Beemtza tefillin. But even this is going to be forbidden. So chiloni, you have a chiloni, yeah? אני מדבר איתך. יופי. חילוני המבקש להניח תפילין. When you have a chiloni that's coming to put on tefillin, אף שאינו שומר תורה מצוות, even though he's not going to be שומר תורה מצוות, או שהוא פרוץ בעבירות וכדומה, אפילו אך היא מצווה להזדקק לו וליתן לו תפילין שלו, right, שניחם בברכה, לזכותו במצווה יקרה זו. So it's still a mitzvah to give him the tefillin. Okay? 282, he says here, in the Sha'arei Halacha, right, in the footnote on the bottom, right, he quotes the late Rav Menachem Mendel Schneerson, right, rule that there's nothing wrong with enabling totally secular Jews to put on tefillin. There's no basis to suspect that such a person would choose to daydream about immoral activities during the few minutes that he's going to do the mitzvah. Right? So he says this is especially for a person for whom the mitzvah tefillin is entirely new, exotic, and exciting experience. Meaning like this. Some people, they come, and for them, the tefillin is like, it's a machine. So therefore they put it on, didn't even realize. So they could start thinking about their, hot cocoa with marshmallows and all these things. They don't realize that. You understand? Because for them, what's the big deal? He says, but somebody that's new, they're not going to do that. So even if there's a basis to have suspicion, says Magen Avraham, both right and also Rav Zalman, he says that one should not refrain from wearing tefillin unless he knows that the person cannot refrain from it, and therefore, obviously, you're going to let them do that. The Sammag, the Sefer Mitzvot Gadol, states that there's no one too wicked to be permitted to put on tefillin. Right? The Sefer Chinuch complains that those people discourage others from wearing tefillin because they need sanctity, v'chule v'chule. They're actually doing an enormous disservice. He says, although their intentions are good, right? He says they feel that if someone wanting to disregard some of the mitzvot, right, he's going to be guilty of chilul Hashem. He says the author of the Chinuch, however, disagreed with this premise. He argued that every single Jew is guilty of sins one degree to another, but no one would suggest that we should all refrain from doing the mitzvot. So no one knows when they're going to die. So obviously they have to do mitzvot at every single moment possible. ואף אם היהודי אינו שלם באמונתו, ואפילו אפיקורוס חס ושלום. So even if you have a Jew that he's not 100% complete and whole with his emunah in Hashem, and he's even an epikuros, אם המעשה ניכר שלו mitzvah, as long as he's doing it for mitzvah, אם המעשה ניכר שלו mitzvah, again it repeats itself twice, I don't know why, כהנחת תפילין ונטילת לולב וכיוצא בזה, עלתה לו לשם מצווה. It is still going to be considered a mitzvah. Okay?